y'all, my name's Lakin Haggard, and today I'm going to be showing you the road to the rodeo.
Wow, it all started in 1519 when Spanish settlers brought horses to the Americas. However, the landmark era for the American cowboy did not begin until the 1800s, when there was a very great mixing of different cultures. Both livestock and rough stock were domesticated, and the Old West became full of different cow towns. The once fearsome beasts, such as horses, cows, and bulls, were now animals with personalities that the cowboys were able to build trusting bonds with. These bonds still exist today and can be seen throughout America. The cowboys in these cow towns, who were once influenced by the vaqueros, influenced the rodeo that we know today. The rodeo that we know nowadays started out as a series of small cowboy challenges, typically done on cattle drives, especially around the 4th of July when range cowboys took a break or make pit stops. They would take place on holidays such as the 4th of July because that was when everybody was sure to get together. These local contests eventually went on to become annual events that diffused to many locations across the rest. Buffalo Bill, whose real name was William F. Cody, was one of the first cowboys to exhibit his skills during these Wild West shows. He later went on to become an organizer. He started with bronco busting contests, which later became rodeos. However, the rodeos like we know nowadays didn't start until approximately 1880. It's greatly debated as to whether or not the first rodeo took place in Prescott, Arizona in 1888 or Pecos, Texas during the same year. Both of them claim to be the first. However, most people in the rodeo scene claim that it's Prescott. Prescott claims that it's Prescott too. This is primarily because Prescott was the first to offer its competitors cash prizes.
Blood, it's that damned old rodeo. Oh, well, it's bulls and blood, it's a dust and mud, it's the roar of a Sunday crowd. It's the white in his knuckles, the gold in the buckle, he'll win the next go round. It's boots and chaps, it's cowboy hats, it's spurs and let it go. It's the ropes and the reins and the joy and the pain, and they call the thing a rodeo.
Since its first days in Prescott, the rodeo has gone on to become a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and there are over 700 rodeos throughout the country. This does not include small and local ones.
Here it is.
Rodeo associations also got their start because in its beginning, rodeo did not have a set of rules to follow. People came, they rode, they collected their money. The associations helped to add rules and a better working environment to the event. However, a lot of the rodeo associations created during these times fell through. However, in 1936, the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association was created and still lives on today. A few years before associations came up, at the turn of the century, rodeos such as Fort Worth and Cheyenne came about. Fort Worth was the first indoor arena, and Cheyenne was the largest. Fort Worth and Cheyenne are still big rodeos to this day. However, Cheyenne still holds its spot as the largest. This is why it's dubbed the daddy of them all. Anyone who has ever rodeoed wants to make it to the Cheyenne Frontier Days. Cheyenne only goes on for 10 days in July, but those 10 days are something people look forward to all year round. Many rodeo legends have had great rides at Cheyenne. However, one of the most notable rides in rodeo history happened in 1989 at Cheyenne Frontier Days. Lane Frost was a 26-year-old bull rider from Colorado. His daddy was Clyde Frost, and who also rodeoed in his younger days. Lane drove up to Cheyenne from Weatherford on the last weekend of Frontier Days, Sunday, July 30th, 1989 to be exact. It was rainy and muddy in Cheyenne's outdoor arena. He drew the bull taking care of business. Needless to say, it did just that. Lane bucked off and landed in the direct path of the bull. He got stuck because it was muddy, and before he could get up, the bull trampled him. Lane tried to save himself, and the bull riders did the same. The bull's right horn hit Lane's left side. The fighters got the bull away eventually, and Lane rose to his feet. He then took a few steps and collapsed. Friends and fellow riders such as Tuff Hedeman rushed over to him. But they knew that their beloved friend was no longer with them. When the bull hit Frost's side, it shattered his ribs. The bone pieces then hit an artery, and he had massive internal bleeding. That was a big moment in rodeo history that brought a lot of people in the rodeo world. It made them feel more connected, losing one of their own and all. This event really highlights just how close together everyone is. That togetherness is something that has always existed and will continue to exist throughout the span of the sport. As a matter of fact, through the process of my research, I was able to talk to Don Gay, an 8-time professional bull rider. Going into this, I knew that he knew of Lane Frost, but this story right here is something that still amazes me.
I retired about 4 times after 1985. The last year that I rode at all of much consequence was in 1989. And Lane was married at the time and didn't live too far from me, so I'd pick him up in my airplane, and we rodeoed all spring and first part of the summer, and I was producing some rodeos also. I was getting ready to quit riding bulls at that time in 1989. I put on a rodeo in Weatherford, Texas. I worked the rodeo at Cheyenne, and I flew back to Weatherford, and my wife and brothers we got stock there at Weatherford and putting on the rodeo. Lane was up on Friday night. He came down there. He bucked off his bull, and then we had slack after the rodeo. It took about 2 hours to get finished, and so from about 10 o'clock at night to midnight, he was playing with Sally, my daughter. She was riding her pony, and they were, horsing around in the alley waiting on us to finish. And he loaded up in a van with some guys and drove back to Cheyenne. And this was like midnight Friday night, so they drove all day Saturday and got to Cheyenne for the final go-round on Sunday, and that's the day he got killed.
Whoa.
So it was like a member of my family getting killed.
This is something that hasn't changed with the rodeo. Some things have changed over the course of time. For instance, the amount of money.
Well, the rodeo really hasn't changed that much in the way the events are conducted. There's a lot more sound and lights, rock and roll, pyro, showtime, glitzy lights and stuff. But when you get right down to it, it's still, you have the competition man against the animal. And that just, that's not going to change. The biggest difference, other than what I call the facade, is money. The money has gotten exponentially larger. They're not as laid back, and you enjoy them a little bit different. Now, they're pretty much real high energy events to go and watch now, whereas 40 years ago or longer, the events weren't choreographed to 2-hour performances. You might have a performance that lasts 3.5 hours, and they've got home cooked barbecue and just a kind of a family outing picnic kind of a thing. So there's pluses and minuses to everything. You kind of pick your poison, so to speak. I think the rodeo business right now is in really good shape. There's a lot of rodeos. The money difference is significant in the fact that in 1974, I set the single season money record, including what I won at the National Finals Rodeo, of $30,300 in the bull riding event. I broke a record set by Jim Shoulders set back in like 1954. And in 1974, I won $30,300, and what that really encompassed was me traveling to over 150 rodeos that I competed in, paying my own expenses and an entry fee and all of that stuff. And there was a young man about a month ago at the rodeo at San Antonio, rode 2 bulls, won his event, the bull riding, and won $34,800. So that was in 16 seconds worth of work. So the money difference is to me is just incredible.
Another thing that has changed is attire. In the early days, everyone wore Levi's and pearl snaps, with their boots and their cowboy hats. Women typically dressed just like the men, in their starched jeans, their starched pearl snaps. Nowadays, a lot of girls wear crop tops, and they don't dress as modest as they did back in the day. They wear more casual clothes. Some folks still wear pearl snaps, and some folks still wear jeans. However, Levi jeans have become a common department store brand and see no place at the rodeo, unless they're the older style ones. Nowadays, Wranglers are popular because Wranglers are the official jean of the PRCA. Justin's boots are pretty popular. Tony Lama is another popular brand. Ariat's new brand, but it's a biggin'. My name's Lakin Haggard, and thanks for watching The Road to the Rodeo.
Stop. Yeah. Hey y'all, my name's Lakin Haggard, and today I'm going to be showing you the road to the rodeo. Starting more, so stay tuned and find out the road to the rodeo. And then, hey y'all, my name's Lakin Haggard, and today we're going to be showing...
Bro, there's 2 cars coming, I'm gonna leave.
Slowly.
Ah. There.
Stop it.
Why?
Outfit number 4.
Outfit, because I'm still recording.
Stop it.